Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned by clicking the bell icon. F1 2024 driver ratings. Shocking 3/10 for 3 stars as Max Verstappen dominates with 9/10. The 2024 campaign saw records broken, a host of experienced drivers leave the sport, and 3 F1 debutants burst onto the scene, making for a memorable campaign ahead of the hotly anticipated 2025 season. Lando Norris, 8/5, led McLaren's charge towards a first Constructors' Championship title and registered his first 4 Grand Prix wins. He outqualified his teammate 21-3 over the season and was consistently strong with his race pace. Could have been more aggressive when battling Max Verstappen at times. Oscar Piastri, 7/10. A competent sophomore year with 2 wins and 8 podium finishes. Completed every lap of the 2024 campaign, which is no mean feat. Lacked pace relative to Norris in qualifying and rarely showed the same blistering pace as his teammate, but this is all expected from a second-year driver. Charles Leclerc, 8/5. Except for a miserable 4-race stretch between Montreal and Silverstone, this was an exceptional campaign for Leclerc. Finally, he avenged his home race hoodoo with an instantly iconic Monaco Grand Prix win and added victories in Monza and Austin for good measure. Carlos Sainz, 7/5. Missed round 2 in Jeddah, but finished just 2 points behind 4th-placed Oscar Piastri. Scored multiple race wins in a season for the first time in his career. A fitting end to his Ferrari stay, but sloppy errors in Baku, Sao Paulo, and Singapore mark him down. Max Verstappen, 9/10. The 4th Drivers' Championship crowned is one of Verstappen's most remarkable achievements in F1. The Dutchman won 9 races, 5 more than any other driver, and was only outqualified once by his teammate across Grand Prix and sprint races. In 2024, we also witnessed the 27-year-old's more undesirable traits in wheel-to-wheel combat and over the radio, but these will be little more than a historical footnote on an iconic campaign. Sergio Perez, 3/10. A miserable year from round 6 onwards. Perez looks destined to lose his Red Bull seat this week, and after being outqualified by teammate Verstappen 23 times in 24 races, a fresh start is likely best for all parties. Scored just 152 of his team's 589 points. George Russell, 8/10, grew into the season as it progressed and deserved 3 Grand Prix victories, taking his Belgian Grand Prix disqualification into account. Lewis Hamilton often overshadowed him in race trim, but a 19-5 qualifying record against, statistically speaking, the sport's most outstanding one-lap performer is not something to scoff at. Lewis Hamilton, 6/5. The record-breaking win in Silverstone was a moment of much-needed catharsis for the 7-time champion, but Hamilton will be pleased to see the back of 2024. It is clear that Hamilton remains a force to reckon with come race day, but his worrying qualifying record is a cause for concern as he prepares to take on Leclerc at Ferrari in 2025. Fernando Alonso, 8/10. The 2-time champion season mirrored that of Verstappen, albeit without the silverware, strong throughout the first 6 races with a dramatic drop-off thereafter. Alonso's struggles can largely be attributed to the unpredictable and laborious AMR24. He finished best of the rest, registering a P9 Drivers' Championship finish by a 28-point margin, and dominated his teammate in the qualifying head-to-head. Lance Stroll, 3/10. Stroll's start to the campaign was broadly in line with what we've come to expect from the Canadian. Brief flashings of raw pace with inconsistent application. In the second half of his year, he was anonymous, except for when beaching his car in the Interlagos gravel, failing to score points in the final 11 rounds of the calendar. Pierre Gasly, 8/5. When Alpine left round 7 in Imola with just 1 point to their name, it was hard to imagine them ending the campaign with 65. Gasly spearheaded this charge with 9 top 10 finishes in the final 17 races, and his qualifying form towards the end of the year mirrored his 2021 peak. Esteban Ocon, 5/5. An immense drive to P2 in Brazil kick-started Alpine's season and proved a fitting farewell for the 28-year-old, who was dropped with 1 round to spare to provide a debut to Jack Doohan. 2 top 10 finishes in the final 13 events tell the story of Ocon's season, although his struggles relative to Gasly can be partially caveated by the upgrade schedules of the 2 Alpine cars. Jack Doohan, 6/10, made his F1 debut at the season finale in Abu Dhabi, replacing Esteban Ocon, and delivered the car home in one piece on an evening in which more experienced heads faltered. Faces an arduous task to match up to an informed Gasly in 2025. Nico Hülkenberg, 8.5. When Hülkenberg was sitting on the sidelines in 2022, it was hard to imagine how high his stock would rise in just 2 years' time. The German racer outqualified Kevin Magnussen 16 times in 2024 and finished ahead of him in 16 Grand Prix too. Along with his 10-point scoring finishes, the 37-year-old finished 11th a further 7 times. Kevin Magnussen, 5.5. A season of two halves for Magnussen, who now faces the F1 exit door. The Dane scored points in just 2 of the first 15 events this season and even picked up a race ban for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but recovered well with a handful of strong showings thereafter. Oliver Bearman, 7.5, made 3 appearances in 2024, all under exceptional circumstances, and impressed in 2. His barnstorming debut in Jeddah will be remembered for a long time, and scoring points in his first race for Haas in Baku was an ideal welcome gift ahead of a full-time program in 2025. Yuki Tsunoda, 8.10, scored 30 of the 46 points scored by VCARB in 2024 and dealt a career-ending blow to Daniel Ricciardo. Outqualified Liam Lawson 6-0 from the United States Grand Prix onwards. Another improved campaign for Tsunoda, who has surely done all he can to secure a Red Bull seat for the 2025 season. Liam Lawson, 6.5, showed pace on race day, scoring points at the first time of asking in Austin and again in Rizzo. While his efforts on some days were immense, Lawson found himself a magnet for controversy and on-track clashes, making enemies out of Alonso and Perez, and was outqualified 6-0 by Tsunoda. Daniel Ricciardo, 5.10. The 8-time Grand Prix winner's F1 career came to an end with a whimper rather than the celebration that it deserved. A P4 finish in the Miami Sprint was a standout moment, but after 3 top 10 finishes in 18 races, the writing was on the wall for Ricciardo come the Singapore Grand Prix. Alex Albon, 7.10. Albon's performances garnered him widespread praise in 2023, but with Williams failing to take a significant step forward in 2024, this was a more muted year for the Thai racer. He dominated Logan Sargent prior to his exit in Zandvoort and picked up the scraps of points when on offer, but was offered a more significant challenge by Franco Colapinto when he burst onto the scene in Monza. Franco Colapinto, 7.10. The breakthrough star of the 2024 season, it looked as though the sky was the limit for Colapinto after scoring points in 2 of his first 4 F1 races. Unfortunately for the Argentinian driver, 3 DNFs and no points in the final 5 events took his stock down a notch, and links to seats with Alpine, VCARB, and even Red Bull dried up. Logan Sargent, 3.10. F1's latest American export, ended his sophomore season early with an FP1 shunt in Zandvoort that triggered a mid-year departure. Sargent faces an exciting future in sports cars or even IndyCar, but his time with Williams was an ordeal that both he and the Grove-based team will want to forget. Valtteri Bottas, 6.5, annihilated his teammate in the qualifying head-to-head with a 21-3 triumph, but was unable to avoid a first-ever pointless season. Made it into Q3 at the season finale in Abu Dhabi, but crashed twice on the way to an eventual DNF. Sauber's 2024 season can be summarized by questionable strategy calls and the 10th fastest car on the F1 grid. Zhou Guanyu, 4.10. After the extreme highs of his home Grand Prix, the middle portion of Zhou's season was nothing short of miserable as he struggled to place his C44 machine higher than the back row of the grid. His form picked up in the final triple header, and he scored Sauber's only points of the season with an impressive drive to P8 in Qatar. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share.